Hello gamers, Training Dummy here, and in today's video I want to showcase two builds in one character. I finally optimized my Warpath enough to showcase how it looks like in 1000 plus corruption, and on top of that I also did Uber Aberroth. And as a bonus I will show you how easy it is to spec into Erasing Strike if you want to try it out, because these builds share and overlap a lot of gear. To start off, I will try to answer a few questions. If you just want to skip to build showcases, go ahead. I will have timestamps for that. Let's start off easy. How do you get to fight Aberroth for this amulet? If you press Y by default on your keyboard, it will bring up the faction window. You go to the Harbingers, and in order to unlock normal Aberroth, your objective is to kill Harbingers in each monolith at certain corruption points. So the faction will essentially give you sort of quests to kill Harbingers, starting off with like 100 corruption, then it grows to 150 and so on. It goes up to like 300 or something. All you have to do is raise your corruption, check this window to see which Harbinger are you missing. The order you want to do them in is up to you, it doesn't matter. You just have to come over here and use the Harbinger's Eye to enter the boss fight. The Harbinger's Eyes drop from Harbingers, of course. This is basically a key to fight Aberroth. Then you go in, smack the boss, and grab your loot. The other question I want to address is tankiness. I see a lot of people have problems with surviving. Well, Warpath is pretty tanky, I would say, for a build that doesn't use a shield at least. I will showcase all four things to look at to make sure I'm tanky. First off, be resistance capped. This is fairly easy to do on Sentinel. We get bunch of resistances naturally from our talents, but on top of that we use Siphon of Anguish, which gives bunch of elemental resistance, and of course Nihilist Amulet, which gives all resistances. And of course, if you're a good boy, I assume you picked up plus 20 to all resistances blessing. With all of that, you should be having no problems to reach the cap. If you're still not capped, remove all the big idols from here and fill in the slots with resistance idols. This is the best way early to mid game to get resistance capped. Secondly, health. I would say 4000 is pretty good late game for Warpath. As you get more gear and slam more LP legendaries, you will get to 5000 range. Number 3, let's look at armor. Also easily obtainable, as we get armor for more strength that we have. Also, our items give a bunch of armor and armor percentage. On top of that, we have more armor while we're spinning, thanks to our blessing. This makes it easy to get armor up to 7 or 8000. And the last one is endurance threshold. It is this yellow line on your HP pool. If you don't see it by default, you can activate it in the settings. I forgot if it's on by default or not. So what this does is, when your HP drops to that certain point, you get damage reduction. We also have this easily capped out because of our build, and big thanks to the anchor. If you checklist all these things, I promise you, you will zoom through the map with zero issues, especially in the 1000 corruption range. So with that out of the way, let me show you how 1000 corruption looks like. I will have both build planners pinned to the comment section or description of the video for Warpath and Erasing Strike. So as you can see, this is 1000 corruption, and we are just zooming through. Super beefy, a lot of damage, no issues. You can push even higher if you want to, but there is like no real benefit to it because of the diminishing returns for corruption scaling with the item drops. You're basically getting minimal to no benefit if you're going higher. In fact, all the items you see I have, including multiple 2LP world splitters, and all the other stuff I have, I farmed at 600 corruption range. Because in a way, it's actually better to go a bit lower if you go faster. Essentially, you save a lot more time and you get more drops, which will equal to more loot. The new Omen events are of course very easy, as your Warpath covers almost the entire area. I wanted to show off how to reroll idols, which you do at cemeteries. All you need to do is find the base idol you want. So for Warpath, it's the 1x4 idol, and you just reforge until you get the outcome you want. And then after you're done with that, you do the enchant you want on top of that. And then the final step would be to corrupt the idol. That's basically the idea behind idols. Let's showcase the triple Omen fight. This is very comfy on Warpath. You do this with no issues at all, you just ram through all the mobs. Same thing for the Fractured Prison boss. This fight gives us no issues at all. You can dodge the pizza slices here, as they don't explode at the same time, because they spawn in segments. By the way, if you have noticed, my HP keeps draining all the time. That's because my chest piece rolled this awful corruption, and I didn't have enough time to slam a new one, so I decided to just send it and play it hard mode. Don't get this corruption, it's awful, just pretend I don't have it. But anyway, this boss is fairly simple, especially as Warpath, as we can damage while moving. The mechanics are really nothing too fancy here. And finally, I decided to buckle up and go for Uber Aberroth. Same gear as I'm using elsewhere. Also, we're doing it hard mode with the god-awful chest I have, but it is what it is. Start spinning to max out Warrior's Fury, try to make echo copies for extra damage. I like placing the beam up and then just dodge the slam. I like to drag his abilities to the side of the map if possible. Here he becomes immune, so that's when the first Harbinger will spawn at the left side of the map. If you keep your distance from the boss, he will cast the Fire Cone ability. So you can always bait that from him at this stage. Remember, if you get hit by a lot of balls and left a lot of puddles on the ground, you can just cleanse them with the Fire Hole he does. And then it's just simple, dodging his little flail attacks, dodging his pizza slams that you can dodge by either going behind him or dodging in between the pizza slams because there's a safe spot. I go all over his abilities and debuffs in my Uber Aberroth guide. I just wanted to show this fight full on, as it seemed some people needed help with Warpath. It goes without saying, you can just get more gear and do more damage. That will make this fight a lot easier. I just like doing the fight proper way since I spent a lot of time practicing it back when it came out in Season 2. So I'm trying to remember it because I didn't get to play Season 3, so it's been a long time since I've done this boss. Here we just keep dodging stuff. Here he goes immune for another time. That means the other Harbinger is spawning on the right side. He gains a new ability here. He does these frontal necrotic waves. They're super deadly. You don't want to tank them at all. And then he keeps doing his usual stuff. The pizza slams, the frontal. But he weaves in the necrotic waves once in a while, as you can see. And that's basically almost all the fight. Soon we're gonna go to the last phase, which will shrink the arena. That's where the beam placement and the puddle placement comes in. Both of them, which I managed pretty badly. That was the Kamehameha. And now he walks up. He does the big boing from phase 1. Here I almost failed. I also don't have pretty placement of the puddles here. And my beam placement is terrible. But I know the fire hole is coming up, so I can cleanse them. Also, during this fight, I noticed I don't have the cleanse affix on my belt, which is very crucial for this fight. Since he gives you the nasty stacking debuff that makes you do less damage, if you have that affix slammed on your belt, you can just cleanse it away with one potion. It's very handy. I recommend doing that for this fight for sure. But yeah, that's Uber Abbey with this damn chest piece that almost got me killed. We got some nice loot, Shattered Worlds and Immortal Wise. But that basically sums up Warpath. I got the planner up for you if you want to compare it to your character. Now let's get into respecking to Erasing Strike. Although it shares a lot of gear with Warpath, remember, I don't have tailored idols or perfect stats on the other items. I just wanted to show you that this build is strong. I literally put this up super fast and it's not optimal at all. And even with saying all that, I will show you how powerful Erasing Strike can be even with sub-optimal stats. First, I will show you what items I replaced, as they're not too hard to get. The first one we're going to use is the Titan Heart chest piece. So the same item we have, just instead of +4 to Warpath, you're getting +4 to Erasing Strike. Then I want to address one comment about T4 Sanctum boss. You're not really supposed to die here, as you can dodge his abilities. So I'm not really sure what's the issue with survival, but if you follow on what I said in the beginning about the 4 rules of tankiness, you should be fine. As you can see, I remove my chest piece and boots, and I just do the boss. I'm not really sure where the issue is. But of course, it's a lot better to do it with the gear, as you can just one-phase him. I slam some mana on the Mask of Indifference. Then we're getting Flames of Midnight because we can use Evade, so we don't need the Crab Ring. Also, we get some nice Void Penetration from this. And we're going to use the Primal Helmet because we don't need this Great Helm with reduced channel cost, as it does nothing for Erasing Strike build. This Mask of Indifference is very solid, as it will give us much needed reduced crit strike damage, make us immune to a bunch of stuff. The nice thing about Warpath is that while you spin, you actually have stun immunity, so that's why you don't really need this helmet on Warpath. You get this item from the Rift Beast mechanic. You can buy it off this vendor with some currency. If you have trouble getting this currency, just open up your Weaver tree and type in the search bar Rift Beast. This goes for anything in a game you want. Literally, don't be afraid to respec this tree constantly and adjust it to your needs. Whatever you are farming now, it's gonna increase your odds to finding whatever you want. So just respec more gold, respec into more runes, respec into more Rift Beasts, respec into more Nemesis on the map. You get the idea. We got our items and then it's time to respec to Erasing Strike. Luckily it's the same mastery, so it's pretty cheap. The first thing you want to do after you respec is go sort out your blessings. You can do it at this NPC. He will show you all the top rolled blessings you have discovered while farming. Make sure you change the endurance threshold to armor percentage, and armor while channeling to standard armor, of course, because we are not going to be channeling. Well, with that out of the way, it's time for gameplay. It's less smoother than Warpath in terms of movement, but then again, Warpath is one of the comfiest gameplay loops. But as you can see, Erasing Strike is just a big bonk ability. Smacks everything in front of you and then slam echoes again, similar to the Spinny Boy. So you're essentially just bonking over and over, dishing out huge damage. The nice thing about this build is that we can use healing hands to move around the map, which is much needed because without it, we are very immobile. As you can see, it has no problems dealing with 1000 corruption monoliths, even with suboptimal stats. Then I can show you the tier 4 Sanctum boss. Of course, Erasing Strike deletes bosses, so this is just for fun, as this build is a big boss killer for sure. Not as smooth on triple Omens as Warpath. Don't mind me, by the way. I spaced out and forgot I had to step closer to the Omen. So instead of triple Omen, it's a double Omen. My bad, but I'm sure you get the idea. Big smack, big numbers, delete enemies. Fairly straightforward. When it comes to the new Uber boss, it handles it pretty easily, as the burst damage is really high on Erasing Strike. Even with having suboptimal gear, you know, having bigger Warpath area on idols is not that great. But I'm sure with this showcase, you get the idea behind the build. If you like this playstyle, you can just farm up better items, and it's gonna be a powerhouse for sure. It's one of the best builds in the game. When it comes to Uber Aberroth, it deals massive damage, but I will not spend time farming and optimizing gear for it. I have Uber Aberroth guide where I go over every single ability he has, and I'm using Erasing Strike in that video. So if you want an Uber boss kill for this build, you can just check that video out. I have 2 kills in there, one is with Uber geared version and the other one is with Force items. As I said in my previous video, I wanted to level a new class, but after I saw so many questions in the comment section on Warpath, I decided to buckle up and farm it out and get the Uber Abbey down. So now I can focus on a new build. I hope you find these type of videos helpful. I don't want to just post a showcase, I want to answer some of your questions so you can actually get to that point to enjoy the build, if you know what I'm saying. You can ask more questions in the comment section. I will try to answer them as best as I can, but I am a one-man army here, you know? It would be a lot easier, I guess, if I could stream, but that's not possible for me at the moment. Maybe in the future it would be easier to answer questions live instead of using the comment section. But anyway, that's enough rambling. Thanks for watching, enjoy blasting, Training Dummy out.